And welcome to the Unscripted American Podcast. Tonight, I have a dear friend, Lee Smiley. We've known each other for, 20
Long
plus
time.
years. And tonight, we're going to, talk about preparedness and how that looks in your life today. Because preparedness isn't always about, some China takeover or the government collapse. There's many elements of preparedness that we should all, be prepared for. So, Lee, go ahead and, tell people about yourself. And
I, I'm Lee, and I ran a couple of preparedness stores for years. And I've heard it all from tin hat to practical preparation. Um, Preparation isn't something that should be looked at as voodoo, especially in places like where we live. Natural disaster is a normal thing here in Oklahoma. And been seeing a lot of reasons and had a lot of questions recently because of the news itself. People losing jobs, supply chain shortages. I mean, you name it, it's all over the place. And people are really starting to look at preparing like it should be a normal thing, which it really should be.
I agree.
But yeah, so
Well, yeah, a lot of times, sorry, I'm going to share our little podcast here. But yeah, I mean, preparedness, gosh, I mean, we get so many different people who talk preparedness, and it's only like these, really outlandish things
right.
where preparedness doesn't necessarily mean, you know, preparing for the apocalypse. I mean, an apocalypse could be different for every person in the world. Um,
Well, yeah, man. It could be something as well, I say as simple, but as tragic as your home burning down, flooding. Normal things. Doesn't
mhm,
have to be crazy. So, I mean, I'm sure at that time in your life that would be the craziest thing that's ever happened to you. But
right.
people don't think about that. Even something as simple as job loss.
Hmm.
How are you going to feed your family?
Yeah.
Do you have things set aside, money, uh, investments, food for that matter? How are you going to pay your mortgage? Things of that nature. So,
Yeah. Lots of times when, I talk preparedness with people, they, well, what do you have? It's like, well, you should have some basic things like food and water, things that you absolutely need to survive as a human being. And then, it's like, well, people are like, well, how much should you have? And I'm like, well, it depends upon what you are preparing for, location, but for in general, let's just say for, natural disaster, I always have, I would say a good baseline would be 6 months of food, water, or have some way to at least filter water. Um, that's just my 2 cents.
yeah. And
Excuse me.
it's not something you have to jump out and buy 6 months worth of stuff. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Just out the gate. Yeah. Doing things like that, like food, for instance, or water preparation, it could be something as simple as just buying those two extra cans of soup when you go to the grocery store. And every time you go, you take that little bit of extra money,
Hmm.
buy a couple more cans of soup. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't have to be soup. I'm using that metaphorically. But things that are shelf stable. Beans, rice. You always hear that from all the preppers. Everybody's eating beans and rice. Maybe instead of rushing out to buy, 48 rolls of toilet paper, buy an extra six when you go to the store.
Yeah.
You know, um, just things of that nature. What happens is we're a very reactive society instead of proactive society, and when things go bad is when people panic, and when they panic, they run out and they buy everything.
Hmm.
It's like they're spending. I've seen, it's ridiculous.
When did where did that come from? So I remember when the Corona thing first happened. Was it, feels like forever ago, but I remember, like, so my cousin and I were like, oh, I was like, oh shit, we actually got this could be a real, big, huge threat with, what I was thinking, like bodies out in the street, like a division. And
Right.
I was like, this could be world ending type thing.
Well, that's the way it kind of was put forth. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which is also another topic, but
But I like went to the grocery store and it was very funny because it wasn't funny, but I walked in and I'm loading up as many canned goods and beans and rice, just extra stuff because I was like,
right,
well, if I don't
right.
have to get into my supply and you could still get supply,
You should be buying
you
it.
should buy up some
Yeah.
stuff. But I'm looking at what people are buying and they're buying they were buying toilet paper.
Uh huh.
And I was just like, toilet paper.
15 cases of Coca Cola.
Yeah, it's like, that's like, man, people's idea of like survival is completely different than ours.
Right,
I was like,
right.
because like I asked a person, I was like, why so much toilet paper? And he's like, well, I mean, you're gonna need it. And I was like, you got running water, just wash your butt off.
Wash your butt.
It's like, whatever, whatever. I was like, wasn't
Hey,
that big of a deal to me.
yeah, and it's one of those things too where, we just bought a bidet. I mean, there you go. You just circumvented the whole toilet paper thing.
Yeah, and
As
it's
long as
pretty
you've got running
awesome.
water. Yeah, but do spring and buy the one with the hot water instead of just the cold water
Yeah.
because that'll wake you up quick in the morning for sure.
I bet it will get you a nice shot of cold water in the keister.
But yeah, so like I can think of an example just recently. Last year, about this time, maybe I think it was November last year, we had that big ice storm.
Yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have power at my house, man, for 2 weeks.
Us too.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So in that 2 weeks, we had to deal with it being freezing outside. The roads were total crap.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a while to get that stuff cleared out. We had to keep, me and my wife and kids warm at home. So we had, of course, there's fireplaces, plenty of blankets, alternative sources of fuel. So like to cook, like propane tanks, like little Coleman
Mm-hmm.
stuff,
Like a
uh,
camping stove.
right, like camping
Yeah.
stoves. And yeah, hell, you could even go bigger than that if you've got a barbecue grill outside. You know what I mean? So, but it's things like that people they don't think about, and then everybody's rushing. Water pipes are frozen. Excuse me. Water pipes are frozen, and people are rushing out to buy gallons of water. I remember I thought, okay, well, I'll go see what I can pick up because we've got cases of water, but let me go see what I can get from the store. Like you were saying earlier, trying to add on to what you already have. And dude, those shelves were empty. There was no water on those shelves,
Mm-hmm.
and people were just wandering around the grocery store with no intent of buying anything. But the grocery store had power, and they're walking around, staying warm. It was interesting to see, man. And that was 2 weeks.
Well, speaking of that, so luckily we had a generator,
Mm-hmm.
but people like think generator you can run your whole house. No, you have to pick and choose like
Right, right.
what you're gonna run your generator
The
on.
fridge, and
Fridge, your heater
yeah.
probably, to stay somewhat warm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you
That's why
know, then you
fireplace
gotta,
is nice.
yeah. I wish hers
We
worked.
did little pallets, and of course we've got like fold out, couch and stuff like that. But the living room stayed nice and warm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like my parents themselves, they have one of those huge cast iron Franklin stoves.
Oh, those things are badass.
Yeah, that was with the house, when they bought it.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that living room, it would nuke you.
Yeah,
That's how hot it was.
the like
And then
cast
they
iron
could cook
puts
on top
off
of it. Yeah, they could
puts
cook on
so
top of it.
much heat out.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a wild time. I mean, because her pipes ended up busting.
Mm-hmm.
Just exposure, just so long, being exposed, it eventually just cracked the copper pipe. Um, I mean, we had to get out and cut all the damn trees.
Yeah, it was a lot of
It was
work
a lot of
involved
work.
afterwards. That,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
luckily there was a lot of like packaged food here, so it wasn't like we were in dire straits. And plus, I have a lot of like emergency like wise buckets.
Right, right. You
Some
Mountain House,
Yeah,
Wise, Patriot Supply,
yeah,
Augustin Farms.
yeah.
All these companies make shelf stable food that'll last 25 years
Hmm.
easily. And
Yeah.
not like the military MREs. I mean,
I
yeah,
have
you can use
those.
them,
I
you can
have
use them,
them.
but the shelf life isn't what they used to be.
No, they're
Not like
like
the old
7
sea
years.
rats. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They're more, up 5 to 7 years, depending on the temperature you store them in.
Right.
But
But good to have on hand,
oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
because while everybody else, when all that was going on, was just, rushing the grocery stores, actually, we got to kind of just kick back. I
Just
was like,
hang
we don't
out.
really
Yep.
need to rush the grocery store because we were prepared. We were prepared for whatever may happen. Now, when people are like, well, we don't own firearms, I'm like, well, that is like one of my three. If there were five things, that's
Well,
definitely in my top five in
yeah, man,
some way.
security is up there. Period.
Yeah.
It's definitely, like you said, top five, and depending on who you are and what you do, where you place that security. But it's probably top three for me for sure.
Because you
Um,
think about it, if you're running a generator,
right.
now you
You making
need,
noise, boy. I could hear them all through the
yeah,
neighborhood.
your force
Yeah,
protection
yeah,
plan needs to be able to make sure that doesn't get
uh-huh.
stolen.
Absolutely. And that kind of falls in like a conversation I was having last night that we were talking about before the podcast came
Mm.
on. We were trying to think of like if you were to take like a pillar system for preparedness, like what would be number one, what would be number two, and so on and so forth. And we really thought about it, trying to figure out what would be best, in order, that way you could explain it to somebody. And mindset's got to be number one.
Yeah, you
You
got to be
know,
mentally there.
right? Well, and not just that, you have to be able to visualize that. Hey, be smart enough to think, hey, this could happen, and this is what I'm going to do when that happens. That's what preparedness is about. So when everybody else is panicking, you don't have to panic.
You're cool as a cucumber.
Right, right.
Right.
Not much has changed in your life, you know.
That's where you got to sharpen those skills. Go out and
Mm-hmm.
try to make a fire. Go out, try to take like your survival food. Like go hiking where you have to like live on that food.
Well, see, we also talked about, how communities are really good. If you look at cases like in modern times that we can actually research and look at, things like the Argentinian collapse,
Mm.
when their dollar collapsed, things were chaotic there, man. I mean, it would look like a war zone, but there wasn't really a war going on. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
people were just fighting to stay alive. People had no food. And then that's kind of when you get into, if you read books about it or study it, it was groups that survived. So neighborhoods survived together, working together, and because preparedness is a huge thing, and there are people that are good in little areas. You know what I'm saying? So there are people that are really good medically. Let's say you get hurt. There's always those people that are either doctors or nurses or things like that. Then you have the person in your neighborhood that grows food constantly, from backyard to table type stuff, that's real popular right now. And it should be. I mean, that should have been a regular thing. It should have never went away. But
Yeah, being
that's
self-sufficient in growing a garden I don't know why we lost those skills.
right.
Like having just basic fruits and vegetables, available in your own backyard is, key.
Yeah. Well, you were just telling me how much do you spend on green beans?
Oh my god, dude. So we went to Taco Tuesday last night and I was like, I'll make a dish, I was gonna make a southern green bean recipe. And this is literally what I bought. Bacon, brown sugar, 2 onions, green beans, and one other thing. $70. I was just like, $70 fucking dollars. I was like, you gotta be
That's
fucking
that's that's
kidding me.
crazy, man. That's
I
crazy.
mean, it just blew me away. I was like, God, talk about inflation. I mean, what you're just talking about Argentina, right?
Right.
Well, Does that not sound a bit inflated to you? I mean,
Oh yeah, for sure.
everything right now is inflated.
Well,
Hell,
yeah,
gas is damn near
and
$3 a gallon in
and not to
Oklahoma.
jump off topic, but so you're looking at all this inflation and people that are losing jobs, and for one reason or another. Okay, so just insert whatever the big thing is right now. Uh, but then you have companies, though. This is the part that I don't understand. Companies that are showing record earnings, retail businesses, grocery stores. Um, how is that possible when there's shortages? You know, it's just interesting, man. There's a lot that we as a society need to look at closer. We were talking about, um, the food chain breaking down, like, lack of drivers. You have backups in ports, goods that are just being stuck somewhere, but not, here. And then, uh,
Well, they're having a lot of problems with that. One, California has paid their people to stay at home.
right.
So they're not incentivizing people to actually go to work.
Oh, I know somebody for the last almost 2 years who was making more at home than he was working. So, of course, we hounded him about it. Kind of a piece of shit for doing it, but he's now working. And he actually lost $800 a month going back to work.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Well, it's
yeah,
just crazy because I mean, it's those folks that aren't going back to work there. So they're short on work. They're short on drivers. They're short on employees to work the docks. They're short on I mean just array of
Well, what's
things.
funny is him in general. He worked for the steel industry, and they shut down the whole plants. You know, And then when they wanted people to come back, nobody wanted to come back because they were making way too much money not working at the plant.
Well, you
So,
can only sit around and make you know so much money when you don't have any damn food and you don't have any goods. I mean, literally, what was it? The president's press secretary came on and said, "Prepare to really not have a Christmas."
right,
Not that
right.
I'm some beater on buying toys and shit, but I mean, it is
Oh, there's a
America.
shortage on toys apparently.
Yeah, I was like, people, instead of wasting your freaking time on buying toys, go to the grocery store and look around on what literally the guy was talking to like, do you have this? And he's like, well, we might. If we do, it's on aisle two. I was like, you might? Like, isn't this a
Maybe.
grocery store? I'm
Man, well,
just
I work in the retail world, and now my part in that retail world was pretty interesting in the last year, to say the least. And it's getting crazier and crazier.
yeah, tell us some of these stories about these people coming in, man, because you blow my mind with the shit that is this past year and a half, like the stuff that you've been dealing with. I'm just kind of like, Jesus Christ, man.
Well, without saying where I work, I don't think they'd appreciate that too much. But I pretty much sell guns for a living. I mean, you could say that for sure. And but not just guns. There are many other things that the store provides, and the amount of theft and uh, attitude in people is just it's unreal. It's unreal, and it's getting worse and worse. The last year we've seen things I'd never seen before happen in public.
And how
I
long have
mean,
you worked there?
6 years,
Yeah.
6 years, and it's insane, man.
Give us a couple stories.
There's constant grab and runs. I mean, on the daily, people come in, they'll pile up thousands of dollars of stuff, throw it in baskets. Oh, just recently, this gentleman, I don't know why I said that.
Asshole.
This asshole decided to fill a basket, and we're talking $3,000-4,000 worth of stuff. Now, not firearms, but other items, and run out of a fire exit with this basket with like 8 people in tow chasing him, where a pickup truck was waiting out back.
Was it a nice pickup truck?
It was a nice pickup truck. I had got photos. And this guy threw the whole basket in the back of this pickup truck and dove in,
Jesus
and they went
Christ.
speeding off, man, with over $3,000 worth of stuff.
Have you had any like people get like physically violent?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, constantly. They've had cases where groups of thieves that work together are going into places and pepper spraying people on their way out. Everybody, customers, employees, so that they're not chased. Um, just blatantly coming in, taking what they want, and hosing everybody down and running. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I have people that I've worked with, including me, that have got into physical altercations with people. I've had knives pulled out on me.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man, and it's only getting worse. And I don't understand, you know, uh, where the mentality of society is right now.
Yeah.
And even furthermore, because a lot of these people are pretty young. Um, where are the parents? What are they being taught? You know, who's to be held accountable for that?
So now you're talking about getting to root causes of things, and like,
Right.
because politics is good at this. We want to talk about like a problem, so a thief, and then we want to talk about say said thief got the hell beat out of him by the police. So who do we blame? We blame the cop.
No, it's
It's
definitely the cops' fault.
instead of like you know let's go to this guy's life. Well, how was he raised? How were his parents? How did his parents raise him? Did they not teach him right from wrong? Like
And this has probably been about 6 months ago, but I saw um, I'd say conservatively 60 years old, okay, woman get thrown to the ground, kicked, um, assaulted by two other people, as everybody piled onto these other two people, just because they were trying to steal some clothing.
Jesus
And
Christ.
she happened to be standing at the door when it happened. Didn't touch him, but they felt like they had to go through her. So
A
I don't
60 year
know.
old
I don't
woman.
know how threatening 60-year-old women are to anybody that's watching this, but unless she's holding a big gun, I don't know that I can justify that at all. Especially for a thief. You know what I mean? Yeah, fuck people, man. It's getting ridiculous.
Well, literally, we just had some friends that moved into this. I'm not going to mention names or where they live, but they moved into a really nice area, and they hadn't even been there a week. And their house, a guy broke in and was in their house for an hour and a half. Now, thank God the neighbors called the police, but it's kind of like,
And they weren't home.
no, they weren't
Oh,
home.
okay.
They weren't home, but I did talk to them, and I was like, "Do you guys own a firearm?" And they're like, "No, but we're definitely looking at getting one." And I was like, "Yeah, you
I sold
should definitely get
I
one."
sold two firearms to a woman yesterday. Okay. And the reason being, they were the first firearms she's ever purchased. Never even shot a gun. But in the last week, her house has been broken into twice. And once her 80-year-old grandmother was at home when they entered the house. So she got one for upstairs and one for downstairs.
Man,
It's getting nuts, man.
people are really, you know, uh, society. It just seems to have like taken a wrong turn. And honestly, I've been hearing Matthew McConaughey actually talk. Not that I'm some big supporter of him or anything, but he has brought up some like fairly interesting conversation, I guess would be the way. He's been talking about, how our country is so far like divided now, with Republicans and Democrats and just everybody is so far the opposite. He's like, is it time that this country talks about being two countries, or do we have a way where we can
What do they call that?
can
I think I've heard to it is peaceful divorce.
yeah.
I think is
Well,
the
it's like,
term that's been used here
do
lately.
we talk about that, or do we try to fix? Is it fixable? That's the real question. Is like, is this fixable?
I think that there are, if you want to use sides as a reference, that there are great people on both sides.
Absolutely.
that I think that just are silent, and people need to start speaking out more. You see, people are starting to do so. I mean, you're seeing more people involved with education, people going to school boards, actually giving input on what their children are learning. Um, uh, you're seeing more of it happen, but I think that more needs to happen.
And the
More
thing
people
they're
need to
leaving
speak up.
out with that, so this thing that where is that Fairfax? Is that where that stuff's happening in Virginia?
Oh yeah, yeah, with Virginia right
Well, the
now.
thing they're
Yeah,
leaving out is that is a major blue county, like a
yeah.
major blue area. So they make it seem as if this is some like Republican thing, and it's not.
No, it's not.
It's people don't want their kids being taught something that is complete. I even hate to say the word. It's like like you're teaching racism, you're teaching division. Like literally, kids are saying, "Oh, you can't be a part of this conversation because you're not of the same ethnicity." Is that making our country better? Are we? I don't see that making that. It's not fixing the conversation to me
No, not at
because you're
all.
not even going to have the conversation. You're going to isolate the conversation to a,
Well,
a certain group.
and that's kind of the problem, man. Is there is no middle ground anymore. Um, and just about everybody I associate myself with, man, um, we're all kind of in the middle.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
you should be.
The way that I've always raised my children is you listen to everything, both sides, you know, um, and you make your own informed, educated decision. You don't jump to one team or the other. You have to decide what's real for yourself.
Yeah,
And
because both sides have some valid
absolutely,
arguments.
absolutely,
It's just anybody that's so far left or so far right, it's like to me, I'm like, you're so far gone.
right.
It's like we need to come together as society and fix these things and learn to work together and start getting these politicians the fuck out of office
That's a big issue.
because they are corrupt as fucking
Well,
hell.
they're lifetime politicians, man, especially in DC.
There's a bunch of articles. Russell Brand just did
Hey,
a
I'm actually
video.
kind of liking that guy here lately.
Dude, I
So
used to not like
yeah,
him,
yeah,
but I follow the hell out of him.
yeah,
I think he's amazing. I think he is like, a guy that would say, "Oh, you normal people would have said that guy was a far left extreme." I don't think he's that at all. I think he's a very alert, awake person who objectively looks at things and makes fucking good decisions.
that's the way it should be.
Because like he was talking about uh, insider trading, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
he was talking about now this was they're bipartisan in this. They're
yeah,
very bipartisan in their insider trading because even a guy that I had a lot of respect for, Rand Paul,
yep.
even involved in
He's
that.
been involved. Yeah, I saw
And I
that.
was like, wow, like,
Yeah, what was it? Something to do with the company that produces some sort of vaccination?
yeah,
No, no, we're not talking the big boys, not Johnson and Johnson or
it was what was it? It was a some type of, it wasn't the vaccine itself. It was some type of antiviral something. I forgot what
yeah,
it was, but he had insider knowledge, and then it's like Dianne Feinstein. There was Nancy Pelosi. There was Rand Paul. There was a list of them. But
yeah,
the fact that these people get this, the fine was $200,
yeah, yeah.
and the Senate and Congress can waive the fine. Oh, they can waive that poor little $200 on your $180,000 salary. Like, oh man,
You know what I keep
wow,
hearing here
who would
lately?
who would be so scared of
I'm
that?
in the wrong business.
Right. It's just like Jesus Christ. Like the people that believe, I mean, believing in these politicians is like believing a stripper actually likes you. I mean,
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, it's like they're so far gone. They're so far. I, it just the more you read about it, you're just like, we need term limits. We need real sentences. If you commit insider trading to enrich yourself, even Joe, what's our congressman here, Joe something. Hearn.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was involved in it, like
That's right.
$7 million.
That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
and it should be if you were caught doing insider trading, you go to jail for 20 years. Like the punishment needs to be so harsh that you don't
They
want to
definitely don't
do
want to
it.
do it. Yeah.
The punishment isn't harsh enough. So, oh god, dude, it's just every little thing these people believe. Like I hate it because it's like right and left are bad about this. Is my guy can do no wrong. It's like no, no, people.
Yeah.
We got to drop the jerseys and get back on being
I actually saw
American.
something today where a guy was he was commenting on a post, and I think it was like via YouTube short or something like that. And of course, he's all American flag, button up shirt, and make America great again, ball cap,
Oh, Jesus.
and he was telling this person, I guess, who was a journalist for one of these big acronyms, and he goes, no, he goes, you can't do that, you can't complain. He goes, you wanted him, you got him. This is your fault. And there needs to be less of that. We're all in this sinking ship together, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can point fingers, but pointing fingers doesn't do anything to help the issue. You know, yeah, we're stuck. With what we got, and regardless if you think that our leader was put there justly or unjustly, we're kind of all in the same boat. It doesn't matter what you are, left, right. So together we need to figure some shit out because right now it's not working.
Well, our leaders are becoming more dictatorish,
Yeah,
like, and this was with Trump too. I mean, he was very dictatorish, like very, I don't know, he was very, I
I
don't know.
think I think he did more against the Second Amendment than Obama did.
Yeah, he did.
I
Yeah, he
mean,
actually,
and that's just the Second Amendment. Um,
he put in a bunch of his cronies in different positions. Oh gosh, I forget. There were so many of them, so many like different little positions. He put them in a gosh, what is it? What are those guys called? I can't remember.
like an advisory.
No, they. I can't. I brain farted. I'll circle back to when it pops back. But
That's called getting old, Joe.
yeah, man, I feel like I lose it every day. I'm like, what was I talking
I
about?
forgot why I was here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it all circles back to being prepared. I mean, if you're not prepared for anything, you don't have any food, you don't have any water, you don't have any protection, you don't have your like basic needs. I'm not saying you got to have a freaking go bag, but you probably should have one at least that you take with you daily.
Absolutely.
You should definitely have a daily
I
bag.
may only work a couple hours from home, or a couple miles, a couple hours. Thank
I
God
was
I
like,
don't.
damn, where the hell are you?
Yeah. But I always carry a bag with me now. Given that bag is more so medical supplies, um, pretty much that's the gist of the bag for the most part. Other than things like flashlights or some Advil for my head when I put up with the bullshit that I do daily.
What would you put in your go bag if you were going to make like a
Well,
bigger go bag?
so when we get into stuff like that, there are different bags for different purposes, and I know that's just kind of uh, like your go bag should be about 72 hours worth of stuff. So something to sustain yourself for 72 hours, in case you have to leave, like California forest fires. You can't take a kitchen sink with you on your back. You can't throw it in your vehicle. So it's things to get you out of there right now, and that will sustain you for about 72 hours. So, hopefully you've got somewhere to go. If not, then you need to have some form of shelter, you know, um, food, some way to keep yourself uh, warm. If it's the wintertime of the months, hydration, um, just the basic needs. I mean, when you look at preparedness, I mean, especially things like go bags and stuff like that, people go really overboard. I mean, dude, I've seen people with 70 pound go
Oh
bags.
Lord.
and that steps into a different territory for me. That's more of like a I'm never coming home bag,
Yeah.
and in that case, it should be very tool heavy, but your go bag, man, just common things, man. So like when my children were little, even the kids got a backpack. They would have things like diapers in them, um, uh, maybe a stuffed animal or two, something to keep them occupied. For the children, that is. It doesn't have to be really, changes of clothes. Um, and then my wife and I would carry, and then like my oldest, my son, would carry more of the you know necessities to life, so like food and water filters, things of that nature. But it doesn't have to be crazy. We live in a very modern time now. If I run out of electricity, Joe here may have electricity, so I may pick up the phone. Everybody's got the supercomputer on their hip; they can just pick it up and go, "Hey, man, you got power? Hey, what are we having for dinner tonight, Joe?"
Right.
But in a case where it's like natural disaster, power outage, everybody's in trouble. That's you need just the necessities of life. It doesn't have to be crazy.
Yeah.
But and then, like I said, you can get into other things like I've got a kit in my car. In case a wheel falls off or belt snaps or you know um, just simple things like that. That's just preparedness. I've got coolant, I've got oil. If anything goes wrong with that car that's short of me having to actually put it into a shop, I can fix it right there on the side of the road.
Yeah, like
Uh,
basic things for a car. Water hose,
Jumper
your
cables,
two water hoses,
yeah,
super easy. Doesn't take a lot, room in your car. Extra belt, water, of course, coolant. Obviously, is always a really good idea to have that. Um,
ways to change your tires,
yeah,
a
definitely,
jack,
definitely a good jack, man. I've seen
yes,
some jacks. I was like, oh Jesus
the one that
Christ.
comes with your car.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna fucking die. But
Yeah,
my go bag.
you know how many cars I've jumped in the last 6 months? Quite a few because they didn't have jumper cables.
God,
Just random people in a parking lot. Hey, excuse me, you got jumper cables? Yes, I do.
be $20, please.
Yeah, $50. Thank you.
I keep my go bag. I keep. It kind of rotates. If it's summertime, obviously I don't need my cold weather
Yeah.
gear, but I'll keep like my rain jacket, at
Well, your
least the
your
top.
first form of shelter is what you're wearing.
Right. Well,
So
that's why people are like, you never wear flip flops. I'm like, because I ain't fucking gonna get caught out in the world in some goddamn flip flops if shit
I tell
goes
you what, since
south.
COVID hit, man, I've been guilty of the flip flops like a motherfucker.
I mean, I'll wear the shower shoe in the house for
Yeah.
sure, but
Yeah.
I try to be in some type of a shoe that if I had to walk, it's going to at least be somewhat comfortable. Because
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Well, also, okay, things I keep in my bag. I keep a way to make fire. I'm not trying to rub sticks together. I carry a fucking
A
lighter.
3000 strike big.
I
Yes.
carry a
My
freaking
favorite
lighter.
fire starter.
I'll carry a flint, flintlock, but that's not my go-to. That's my
Bearseed rod.
emergency. I'll carry a water filter. I carry a big splitting knife, and then I carry like a smaller knife. I have an emergency bag, one of those like tinfoil looking bags.
Yep.
Um, I carry a way to spot someone. Like a big orange panel thing. Just who knows if you might want that. I carry a couple extra mags. I carry a AR mag if I have one. If not, well, maybe I'll find one. I carry some extra Glock mags. Um,
But he
I
carries a Smith and Wesson, which I'm still confused on that whole thing.
oh no, I'm a Glock guy. I carry an IFAK because I can mount it on the back of the Molly. Nothing too crazy. I mean, I'll carry like spare socks, batteries for things, a flashlight.
Socks and batteries are
Yeah.
awesome.
I have a map of my area here, even though I know it really well. But there's so many
That's something
different.
else, man, for vehicle. Nobody carries maps anymore.
No,
There's maps in my car. There's freaking road atlas in the back seat.
people just they don't know how to fucking use it, man.
Yeah.
They're like, what is this thing? It's like, God, I remember when we were in school, you actually had to learn how to do that shit. Like,
Right.
you actually had to learn how to use a fucking
I
map.
remember taking trips with my grandfather and him using nothing but the map.
Yeah.
There. But yeah, I digress. Um, Times have changed a lot, man. My wife and I actually had a conversation not that long ago about how our children will never know the world that we grew up in,
No,
and
it's long gone, man.
for the good and the bad. But it's gone. There's so much that's been lost,
Well, personal interaction has been eroded, man.
man, and that's
Like,
crazy. Yeah, I noticed that with my youngest, man. She's 9 years old, and man, she's on her in her own little bubble 90% of the day.
dude, I meet people that can't like actually communicate a sentence that makes sense in person.
Right,
You're like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, they're literally like some type of, but they could type it out and do all the shit that
hmm
you can do on the Facebook, but they can't actually like pronunciate a full sentence to save their life. It just blows me away, man. Like super basic things that we were raised around. Like people are just so ugly to each other on this fucking social media bullshit that
Well, it's like I said, it's starting to bleed over into I don't want to say reality. Social media, I guess, is kind of reality, but um,
yeah, fucking
um,
sick, twisted one.
DB here isn't going to reach through the screen and slap me for something I say.
Yeah,
So,
which
um,
is why they're so bold.
right,
If somebody, half these people would say the things they say online to a person in their face. Just, it's just a fact.
but you didn't, and back in the day when you did, you knew that there was going to be a consequence to it. Uh, you know, um, so and now that doesn't happen, and then if there is a consequence, then chances are you're going to jail. You're going to be sued for hurting my feelings. Um,
Yeah, it's a oh that word I was looking for, lobbyist.
Lobbyist.
Trump hired
Yeah.
a whole or got a whole bunch of his buddy lobbyist jobs. That's pretty crazy to think, but yeah, it's like when people are like so into these politicians. I'm like, these people suck. It's like you're telling me these are the best humans we can find to run this country. These people really we're like they've made it to where it's a rich man's game. If you're not rich or you're not willing to push whatever agenda the people that are pushing that money, you know, I would like to see even in local politics them set a maximum amount of money. Like, look, you can only raise $20,000 and that's it. You got to run and you actually got to get out and meet your constituents. You can't just get a bunch of dark money from wherever the fuck.
Right.
It's so much bullshit. Like it's so funny because you're like, look at some of like these local elections, $100,000. These people like literally say this to you with a straight face. I'll take $100,000 to race that race. You're like, what?
Oh, that's a dollar amount to it.
For a freaking small local election?
Well,
Like,
who's the comedian? Every
Jesus.
politician should wear like a NASCAR outfit that
Oh, they
shows their
fucking
sponsors.
should.
You know,
Yeah.
all over their suits, so you knew what you were dealing with.
Yeah, it's freaking ridiculous, man. He's got a shower.
Take it easy, man.
Later, dude. Yeah, man, it's so fucking crazy. I mean, I don't know how we fix it. I mean, it's looking so sad with this supply chain thing. Like Americans might actually have to struggle, like really struggle for a first time as a country. And I think that struggle
No, I
might
think
be
within the next year coming, man, that we're definitely going to see. I think inflation as bad as it was, or worse than our great grandparents in the Great Depression for sure. If we're not already at that point, or pretty close to it.
but that struggle definitely might bring us together.
Let's hope
A
so, man.
common struggle sometimes is what's best for a country
You,
to get back on
you know
track.
what bothers me about that though, and I kind of touched on this earlier, is the ones not struggling. Um, like, like I said, businesses reporting record growth and profit. Well, if everything is all screwed up and there's all these shortages and this and that, then how the hell are they profiting? You would think that they would be down in a hole like everybody else. So I think we need to look into why that's happening.
Which
Um,
business? Amazon?
well, no, a lot of retail. So like Amazon for sure. COVID was great for them.
Fuck
I
yeah.
mean,
Sit at
dude,
home, buy shit.
yeah, hell yeah. Free money too on top of that.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with all this cash? And I can't go anywhere. Amazon, here I come.
Amazon Prime.
Right. But I mean, retail stores all around the nation. Look at Walmart. Look at but all the little guys got shut down.
Oh yeah.
But the big
Oh,
boys
I
got to
see.
stay and play. You see
I
what I'm
see where
saying?
you're talking.
And they're turning record profits. And
well, they shut down. They made all the small guys shut down,
right,
and then they allowed the chains to stay open. Is basically what you're saying,
right, and they're all, like I said, record profits.
Can you believe there's actually places that are still locked down?
No, that's kind of crazy. Did you know that I believe right now there's over 19 countries that have dropped all those restrictions?
Really?
Yeah, including Norway, I believe Singapore, Finland, like all these places have dropped all their restrictions. I want to say there's a bunch of them though, but basically what they stated is that they know that they're just going to have to live with it. It's something that's not going away, and it's not beneficial to the health of their populations. So they have dropped all restrictions, which is great, because I think that at the beginning this was that was intended. All these restrictions were put in place. The intention was is they thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. Now I'm not saying that it wasn't bad, because there are a lot of people that have died because of it, but the projections were nothing like they thought it was going to be.
No.
And
they definitely made it out like there was going to
like
be
it was
like
Ebola.
bodies.
You know what I mean? Right.
Because that's what I
Right.
think of when I think of like something crazy. I'm like Ebola. Like
Right.
there are literal bodies everywhere.
And I've had it myself, and
I've had it too.
and it sucked. But here I am, and I don't know. I'm not. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think it's something that's going to go away. And the more and more you keep people locked up and told they can't go here or go there, or show me your papers, or whether you do or you don't, or it's just not going to work.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So this is where my friends that are, on the left, where I can't understand the mentality, because they come from this world of my body, my choice. Like you can't tell me what to
Right.
do. Yet at the same time, they support somebody who's telling them what to do. Like you're going to do this. Now, I don't care either way if you do it or if you don't do it, but it should be your damn choice. It's
Right.
not the power of the government to force things upon you. Like that's not what the government is.
That's not what they're for.
Supposed to be.
No, they're supposed to protect your right to say no. I don't want that for myself.
And I think that because they politicized it so much is why they're struggling to get people to want to take it. They've made it such a big freaking deal that, well, they've politicized it to just levels that it's like people don't trust it.
Yeah.
Instead of how they should have just said, hey.
Well, and then it changes every day.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, is the consistency. But yeah, one day it's this, one day it's that, the next day it's double up on that.
Next day you're fine.
You're good. Go ahead.
Hell, there's a restaurant downtown in Oklahoma City that freaking won't even let you come in unless you have your a COVID test or your COVID card. Sucks. It was one of my favorite places.
Well, look at all the backlash in.
I will never
in New York
go there ever again.
In New York and California, I heard that. I believe it was In-N-Out Burger of all places. You know how we don't have one here in Oklahoma that I'm aware of.
No.
But in California, they had multiple chains in California, and the government stated you have to follow this mandate. for having the passport shown in order to come in and eat, or you're going to have to shut down your business. And In and Out said, we're not doing that, and then shut down all their locations. I was like, damn, that's making a statement.
Like shut them down permanently.
But yeah, until all of it's lifted, they're done. They will not do. They won't be open in California.
Hey man, that's the shit you get when you
The
drive people.
corporations are starting to stand up to the government, basically.
But that's what they should freaking do.
Yeah, and then of course in Texas, where there's a ton of them, they don't have that issue. So
I'm loving. I am freaking loving watching. Oh damn it! You're Oh is. Fuck. I'm brain farting like crazy. I probably shouldn't.
You got that workout brain.
No shit. Well, no, okay, no, the basketball players. There we go. I knew
Yeah.
I'm loving watching these guys like just say, "Fuck it, we just won't play."
Yeah.
It's like the corporation is them.
Right. They're the ones that are selling tickets.
People fucking pay to watch them play.
Right.
They do have some power. And they're finally utilizing it in a good method of saying, hey, well, we don't support this. And they're even saying,
and that's an example too of two polar opposites. So, normally when you have like the anti-vaxxers or the, I will not comply people, they're looked at as far right extremists. Okay.
But they're not.
Right. But then you start having people like NBA basketball players that are further left leaning and are open about that, and people like and I hate to say her name, Nicki Minaj, stepping up and asking questions. That's what we need is more of that togetherness, that more of that light bulb. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I can understand from the like black culture because hell, the Tuskegee experience.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's terrible.
Terrible. They've been down this path before. So I completely understand when they're like, yeah, we don't fucking trust the government trying to say, hey, you got to do this.
Yeah.
Because they seriously don't. They have millions of dollars. Like, they don't really need to do it. They can sit at home and live fucking
That'll get a really good doctor if they catch it,
Right. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that we as Americans are just letting these people tell us like you're gonna fucking do this. It's like no, I'm not.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where I personally believe you should do what you want to do. I'm not either for nor against for you. You know what I'm saying? I have no dog in that fight. If that's something you want to do, then do it. If it makes you feel safer, or if it's something you think that you need, then do it. I mean, I
100% support that.
Right.
You should definitely have the option and the choice. And I'm not even. I hang out with so many people that don't have it and have it.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I'm like, look, I'm not scared of it. I've already had it. I'm not going to treat you any different. A group that did that one time.
Who's that?
They were like crazy leader from Germany.
Oh, yeah.
He was, he basically did something very similar to a demographic of people saying, hey, your businesses can't be open because of this or that.
Yeah.
Because I think, they call that, the Nuremberg. Yeah, well, I will definitely have to. I've got it all on my phone, notes for another show about the correlation between the two, because it is very spooky how fucking close those two groups are.
No, yeah, there's a lot of
not
similarities,
groups, but just the idea,
similarities,
of like the way that they're pushing it. It's just crazy to me, like when people get so mad at people. I mean, I can't.
Everybody should just love each other. This is getting ridiculous.
I mean, it's like this is what America is supposed to be.
Right.
Melting pot of different ideas.
I don't have to agree with you for us to be friends. No. Just so you know.
No, I
Um,
have tons of friends I do not agree with at all, but I'm still friends with them. They're still good people.
I've noticed a lot here lately in the last year and a half. There are a lot of people that that I call friends that we definitely have a difference of opinion, but I'm not afraid to call them friends still. So um, I don't know, man. People just need to open their eyes, I guess,
Yeah,
and like I said, fucking hug somebody today. You
yeah.
know,
Transfer some of that energy,
right?
unless you got negative shit, and keep it away from me. But I think this is a good time to wrap this show up. It's been good. Thanks for
Thanks
coming
for having me
down.
over, brother.
Yeah, man. Anytime we'll do another one, and
We'll get
love
down
your
into the twig and berries of
yeah.
the survival thing, man, for
Well,
sure.
love your freaking Americans. Love yourself. Love people around you. And don't be a fucking asshole. Have a good night.
Take it easy.